there are things outside of the major blockers which are often brought up as like issues with Wayland. An issue not necessarily with the Wayland approach, but with the state things are currently in. There was obviously the recent NVIDIA talk where there was the discussion of how there's these screen capture dialogues, which can get in the way of, you know, automated capture and stuff like that. And I guess that we kind of brought this up a bit earlier with the whole remote desktop stuff. Is there some thought on some pre-authorization that could be done here? Any sort of approach that could be done to allow for some automated... Like, I know why it's like this, so, you know, you can't just write a Python screen capture that takes like 3 lines of code to do. But is there any thought on like how to do this in a safe way?
So with the remote desktop portal, we already have something built into KDE for that.
Mhm.
So you can, in system settings, just select the application in the application permissions KCM and just say control pointer and keyboard and share the screen without prompts. And then it will never ask that application to, or will never ask you to approve. For screencasting, it's a bit more involved because for the application, like a permission is easy. Like it's just a yes, no. But which windows, which screens should it actually share? This is something that we may eventually look into with the remote desktop portal as well, because it would be nice if you could stream all the windows or just one window instead of having to stream the entire screen. Like RDP can do that with an individual window. Right now, how it works with the screencasting portal, the user selects which windows or screens or whatever, and the application can store a key and use that the next time it requests a screencast. And then the compositor will go, I know you had this window the last time you had this screen, and just restore all of these. How much that works for automation is, of course, a very different story,
Right.
where you might want to script some things. And I think we still need to look into what APIs to expose there. How do you want to identify a window? How do you want to identify a screen there? There are some things we can do, like where we can be clever about it, and there are some things where I think in the end we just need to provide you with a command line utility or just some API that you can call and then do whatever you want with it, pretty much. Because for automation, that's what you need.
Yeah.
That's what everyone wants.
Well, we're at a point now where when I open up OBS, it remembers the screens that I captured. Applications, I understand, are harder because if it's the same application session, it can grab it. But if you've done you've closed the window, you've done a reboot in between, even if it's the same application, like, it's another Firefox window, for example, it's not that same Firefox window, so it still prompts you again for it.
Yeah, so our desktop portal is actually like somewhat clever about it. It will check like window names and which application you actually selected. So it should in general restore the correct window, even if you close the app and open it again or reboot in between. If there's a case where it doesn't, make a bug report, please. Like in general, it should just work without any user interaction.
Okay, I have to give it some more testing to see where it goes weirdly then. Yeah. So we talked kind of on session restoration earlier. What is kind of the issue there? You've mentioned the toolkits, but my understanding with that one is there's like kind of wide agreement that session restoration is kind of a good thing, but it's kind of complicated to like go get all the pieces in place for it.
Yeah. So the most difficult bit is we need a way to identify a window after you close the app and then open it again. Because from the view of the compositor, you open 5 Firefox windows. It knows there are 5 Firefox windows. It does not know which one is which tabs are in it. It can maybe guess depending on the window title, but especially with a web browser, it loads a page, it changes the window title. Depending on the page, it might change the window title like every 5 seconds. It's a difficult thing. So how the protocol basically works is the app tells the compositor, give me a session and add these windows to it. And then the application gets a unique handle for that session. Next time it starts up, it can tell the compositor, here's the session I want you to restore. These are the same windows as last time. Here's their IDs. And then the compositor can do the rest. There's the second part that is actually starting applications, however, which on X11, that works by the app telling a system service an arbitrary command to run on startup. And that arbitrary command will then have by the app like the session ID and like the correct command to use that session ID in it. Obviously, that's really terrible, and there's no way you can sandbox anything with that approach. So there has also been a lot of thought gone into how to do that in a less shit way. So one of the ideas was you just use Flatpak. Like if the application has a Flatpak, you run the arbitrary command the application provides, but you box it up first. So when it runs in that Flatpak, it can only do as much damage as the app can do anyways when you start it normally. The other idea was, well, maybe we don't do that and standardize on some key in the launch command, like -- session, which would conflict with some applications, however, that have their own session arguments. There will be a solution eventually. And both of these issues have like some implementations already. Qt, I think, has for Qt 6.11 the experimental session management protocol merge, and Quinn has it. So then you will be able to set an environment variable, and it should hopefully by that point work with all KDE applications. We'll see how much needs to be changed to work with the Wayland approach versus the X11 one, and how many other applications adopt it.
Right. Because it's easy enough if GNOME suggests, hey, we do it, and then you get all the GNOME Circle stuff in. But there's going to be things outside of GTK and outside GNOME and outside of KDE that now you have a whole nother series of applications that have weird different toolkits, are built directly on OpenGL, and yeah, that's my understanding why it's like kind of complicated.
Yeah, so we are still considering maybe adding like some clever detections about like using the window title and the application ID to maybe at least start the apps and put them in the right spot, even if they're like the actual content in the app might not be restored, like not the correct file open or whatever. But it's very difficult when apps can have 5 windows open and we just don't know which is which. And yes, especially like Electron, and we have, of course, Chromium and Firefox. These are the most important ones, which will need to support this. And Firefox, I'm confident, will like be very quick because they do X11 session restoration on Wayland. So, yeah.
Okay.
It's a whole separate like protocol from X11. It's completely crazy how all of that works. But yeah, it might take some time.
Mhm.
Like Discord screencasting, I think took 6 years from the screencasting portal being added to Discord supporting it. So
My understanding with
Discord
that is they had just
supporting the
like,
session restoration,
yeah.
which is an optional, like super nice to have feature instead of core functionality, might take a decade. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, my understanding with why Discord took so long is they have like one Linux guy.
Yeah, I mean that's I think the problem with a lot of the apps from big corporations.
Mhm.
If they even have one Linux guy, or if it's just like with Spotify, like one or maybe multiple people in the team
Mhm.
that just do it on the side as a hobby and can't really use work hours for it.
Yeah.
Like that's what I understand the Spotify situation is like, at least.
Yeah. I'm glad that things are slowly moving on that side, but when you're dealing with these proprietary apps that just don't care about Linux first, there's only so much you can do there. You can provide all of the tools to make it happen and provide as much documentation and make it as smooth as possible, but at the end of the day they have to write the code. You can't go and submit patches to fix it for them.
Yeah, I mean sometimes we can, like with Qt.
Oh, sure,
A
yeah.
bunch of applications just automatically got at least decent Wayland support.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that Electron can add session restoration as well. So we don't need Discord to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Only update the Electron version, which can be only a matter of years. So I hope that we can get a bunch of apps to support it that way. But at some point, like with session restoration specifically, you need to identify windows.
Mm-hmm.
If the toolkit doesn't know which window is which either, then you're just screwed.
Right.
That's the case with Qt and GTK, by the way. There's no window ID, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Qt can, I think, generate something that's not completely reliable in some cases, but it's probably like there's like a niche API for X11 session restoration that we're probably gonna just reuse or maybe add something in KDE frameworks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's all wrapped up yet.
So you mentioned not bringing back the content of the window. So there's this like distinction between the fake and real session restoration. And I'm actually not using Plasma right now. Do you guys have the fake session restoration in there? Because I know there was a discussion a long time ago.
Yeah, so we start apps that were open the last time.
Right.
We don't currently try to restore the positions.
Mhm.
That's something I want to look into at some point, but with how challenging that can be, and then working for half the apps but not the others, we'll see how if it's actually feasible. About the like distinction between the content and just the window, it's more like that one the application has to support directly.
Yeah.
We can restore the window position, like even when we can do that fine with the Wayland protocol. That doesn't mean the app like saves all its internal state when it quits.
Right.
If the app just throws it away every time it quits, it probably will not do perfect session restoration.
Right. Yeah, there's obviously apps like browsers which do a really good job at that, but like a terminal, for example, most terminals don't remember their session because it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think console can
Okay, maybe
at least
console's an
restore all the
exception.
tabs and the like directories. But obviously, if you had a command running in there, it will not start a command for you. You will have to go and do stuff yourself still.
I know so many people that don't use Plasma, but constantly tell me how great console is. So clearly, I don't know who works on console, but whoever does, they've done a fantastic job with it.